Hey, welcome everybody. This is Joel at Static ATX Records, and I'm here with my guest today. His name is Jason England. He has been a DJ in the Austin area for going on, was it 25 years?
Uh, Longer than that, 27 years now. Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
and he's also been a friend of mine for a long time. So we're gonna kind of get to know him a little bit better. You guys ready? We'll let people trickle into the chat a little bit while we go through some of the early questions.
All right.
So we're going to go into this. We're going to start out here where I always start out, which is asking you, where did you grow up?
I I grew up in Fort Worth, the Fort Worth area, uh, small suburb of Fort Worth called Everman. I grew up. I lived there until I was probably about from the age of probably 5 until I was about 17, and then I moved to 16, maybe 16, 17, and I moved to Austin around that point. So back in 90, like 96, early 97, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who first introduced you to music in your life?
Um, Music that I'm obsessed with now, or just
No,
music?
just music in general.
Probably my parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were. My mom was in the country. My dad was. My mom was in the country, and some um, like rock stuff, like Phil Collins and Billy Joel and stuff like that. Mike and the Mechanics, um, Genesis. My dad was more into classic rock and oldies, so got the best of both worlds when it comes to my parents' music.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what was your earliest memory of listening to music?
probably on road trips from my where I was growing up to see my grandparents in Lagrange, which was about a 3.5 hour drive. So we would just have music in the car all the time, and either that or in the garage with my dad, and he would always have oldies blasting through a small little radio in the garage when he was working on the car or building furniture or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What kind of, do you remember any of the radio station, what the call signs were or anything?
not really, not really.
Did
There
any
was
of that music stick with you? Any of the country music or rock music, did it stick with you?
um yeah, I mean, I uh the stuff that I really liked growing up was stuff like Led Zeppelin and the more of the classic rock stuff. I really didn't vibe on oldies too much. Wasn't really my thing. Some of it was okay. Um, and as far as country music goes, it was more. My mom liked a lot of um, like Clint Black and stuff like that, and I do too. But I was more into out of the stuff that she would play. I was more into like outlaw country, like um, Marty Robbins, which is a record I bought from you recently.
Yeah,
Um, Stuff like that. Yeah,
right on. Well, you
yeah,
mentioned Outlaw, makes me think of Willie and Waylon
yeah,
and all them.
yep,
Okay.
yeah. But my as far as all that goes, probably more 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 often than not, it when I was growing up, I liked the Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that more than anything else.
I gotcha. Well, a
Yeah,
lot of people would consider that to be oldies. So when you talked about they were listening to oldies, what do you mean, like 50s and
yeah, like I can't even think of names now. Uh, yeah, like the Beatles, like classic, like old Beatles.
older than let's? Okay.
Yeah, like or I don't know, like She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah. That era of music,
Right on.
that era of the
Well,
Beatles. or the like doo-wop music and stuff like that. You know,
Okay. So, what was the first piece of physical music that you bought or that you owned as a kid?
If I remember correctly, it was probably a cassette tape by Hank Williams Jr.
You remember, like, what was it? Was it a gift, or how did you get
No,
it?
I had like allowance money, and I bought it from a tape store, a record store,
Okay, Hank
yeah,
Williams.
in the
Okay.
mall.
And what about your first concert?
Man, um, my mom took me, and I don't even remember who was playing, but my mom took me when I was pretty young to this honky tonk in Fort Worth called Billy Bob's. Um, that's probably the first time I remember seeing live music.
Right on.
I don't remember who it was. the The first show I remember seeing probably was, as far as like the, the band that I remember, was probably oh he was a Eagles member of the Eagles, and
I'm at Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. Yeah, it was. I hate Joe Walsh, but that was the first time I remember seeing a big one.
Right on.
Yeah.
There was a place, I don't know if you remember this, but it was somewhere in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I think it was called the Texas Tumbleweed.
Okay. I don't remember that, but you know,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It was a restaurant. I want probably a steakhouse, but I don't remember. But it had this big dance, like I say dance floor, but they did like line dancing and stuff. And I remember going there as a kid, like me and my sister. We always wanted to go to the Texas Tumbleweed because people would get up there and start dancing, and we like to watch them do their thing. And they'd sometimes have like a live band, just like a local house band playing
Yeah.
whatever. It makes me think of like what you're talking about with Billy Bob's, because I don't remember Billy Bob's.
Billy Bob's was the big one. It still is the big one in Texas, I think. At least in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I mean, it's in the Stockyard, Fort Worth Stockyard area. Yeah.
Okay.
Now everybody's gonna think that I'm into country music and go into honky tonks and stuff like that. And I'm not.
Hey, it's all good.
I do enjoy going to a honky tonk sometimes, but it's rare.
Yeah. And sorry for those watching the video, I'm having like a little bit of an issue here. I cut myself like 15 minutes before the stream. It's a pretty long cut, so I'm sitting there trying to hold it, stop it from bleeding while I'm sitting there talking.
He's gonna pass out soon, so
no, I'm not losing that.
I'll just take over from there. Like he'll just be on the floor bleeding out, and I'll just continue.
Yeah. So, what was the first record store you ever remember visiting?
It was probably be some record store in the mall when I was like in Hewlin Mall or something like that when I was a kid. But I don't remember the names of those places.
Like there was Music Land, Sam Goody.
It may have been
on it
or something like that, but or music. Yeah, it was one of those mall chain record stores. The first one I remember falling in love with was probably Waterloo.
Oh wow! Did you go to the original Waterloo location?
No, the only one I ever went to was the one that they were just at that they moved away from.
I gotcha. The one on Lamar.
Sixth Lamar, yeah.
Right on.
Have you been to the new one, the new Waterloo?
I have, yeah. I went on opening day, or no? Yeah, I did. I went on opening day. It was later in the afternoon. Did you go?
They have a bar in there. It's not that like the flow is just amazing. You could get a beer and just walk through and just shop for records. It's really cool. And they have a stage for live performances and stuff, which is amazing.
Yeah, they had DJs on opening day.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back.
Very cool. Well, okay, so let's skip forward to your teenage years. So, like middle school and high school, what music defined those years for you?
And I mean, that would have been the 90s. In the early my middle school years was probably bands like Metallica and Megadeth and bands like that, metal bands. 80s, early 90s metal, stuff like that. AC/DC. That album, the Money Talks album, incredible album. I still listen to that album. Probably into high school, it was more like stuff that you and I would have listened to in high school, like Smashing Pumpkins, and White Zombie, Marilyn Manson, bands like that, and then Pink Floyd. I mean, Pink Floyd was always there for me. Like I listened to The Wall, and even some of their deeper cuts quite a bit in my high school years. Like
Okay.
I wore out my tapes for Pink Floyd especially.
Do you have a favorite Floyd album?
Probably Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. So okay, so the music in your teenage years. So where were you discovering music?
Through friends mostly. I was kind of sheltered when I was a kid, so I didn't get really a lot of exposure, or even know how to look anything up or find out what was out there until I made friends that were into music and started pushing stuff on me and exposing me to music and stuff like that. That was really my outlet. Was
Like,
I don't
were you
know,
watching
stuff like-
MTV?
I'm sorry.
MTV? Were you watching MTV or listening to the
Oh,
radio?
yeah. MTV. MTV is how I discovered Prodigy and a lot of other bands like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
So when you talk about being sheltered, like I'm assuming you're talking about by your parents.
Yeah. And
Were they-
when I say sheltered, I mean, yeah, it was sheltered. I mean, I didn't get to really listen to any music outside of what they were listening to.
Like, were they purposely like keeping it from you, or they just weren't introducing it to you, and you just didn't discover it?
I think part of it was, and it may have been two ways. Like I just listened to what they listened to, and I didn't know how to go find music on my own. And really, what I started to get into after kind of exploring a little bit on my own was I got into some of my dad's reel tapes that he had recorded on the radio. Like he recorded a bunch of like Dr. Demento and stuff like that, and I discovered Weird Al Yankovic and stuff like that through Dr. Demento and a bunch of other stuff. So that sort of made me realize, oh, there's a lot more music out here than just what what my parents are listening to now. So yeah, and after that, I started getting like classical music. Like I would sleep. I bought my own radio from a stereo system from a yard sale, and I set it up in my bedroom, and I would go to sleep listening to classical radio stations in Fort Worth. And my mom would even come in and turn it off in the middle of the night because it was making too much noise.
What kind of composers did you like?
I don't know. Honestly, I didn't. I just listened to the classical music on the radio, and it just helped calm me down and relax,
Okay.
like that. So yeah.
Were there any? Okay.
I'm not really answering these questions very well.
No, you're answering them fine. It's just when I think about classical music, I think about like some people go into it thinking like what composers they really like. Some go into it like what kind of instruments did you like? Like, do you want like the piano heavy classical? Do you want the more the orchestra with the strings and the horns? Like what sounds in classical
It
music
was
do you kind
orchestra
of
mostly. Yeah, it was like orchestra
okay.
style music. More of the um, like, I guess darker, like darker, just the darker sound of in orchestra music and stuff like that. And I think that's what really led me down. That and my love for like bands like Pink Floyd was kind of what led me into my love for darker music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who don't listen to classical music don't realize that there's lighter classical music. There's a lot of darker, different speeds, fast, slow. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, and that was kind of interesting. You said your dad was making mixed reel to reel tapes.
Yeah.
Because we talk about mixtapes and we're thinking about cassette tapes, but people forget that back then. Because I've run into a lot of those out there, like buying collections and whatnot. There's a lot of people that they still have some blank ones, but then a lot of people were making mixes, like recording things off of their own vinyl or recording things off the radio onto these reel to reel tapes and playing them back. It's kind of interesting.
He had a recording of on reel to reel, and this was the first time I ever heard it. Was he had a recording of War of the Worlds. It was really, really cool to hear that for the first time.
It was like a talk radio thing, like talking through it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, so so it sounds like during high school you're kind of listening to what was popular at the time, like the Smashing Pumpkins, all the grunge stuff and whatnot. When did you start?
Like I got introduced to Ministry in high school and stuff like that. So yeah.
Who introduced you?
He's another band that I got into. So it was kind of all over the place. But for the most part, it was like the darker industrial, like grungy, alternative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when was who introduced you to Ministry and what was it?
It was a friend in high school, but I don't remember. I don't remember his name, but he introduced me to the album Filth Pig in high school, which in reality was probably my least favorite Ministry album out of all the big ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got introduced to Ministry. And then
was that like your introduction to, even though Filth Pig is kind of more metal, was that your introduction into industrial music? Or
pretty much. I mean, that, and for lack of a better term, like or example would be like Nine Inch Nails would have been really my introduction to industrial would have been Nine Inch Nails for sure.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through it. Like so you're hearing Nine Inch Nails, probably like a lot of us did. You're hearing Closer and you're hearing the tracks from Broken. What did that kind of lead to? Like,
so I have as far as, are you talking about like into industrial music?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have kind of a story about this. When I was probably 15 years old, a friend of mine down the road, like on the block, on the same block as I was on, invited me to work in a haunted house up in Fort Worth called Cutting Edge Haunted House. So I go work at this haunted house, and they have a soundtrack playing that's all goth industrial music. And I'm not talking about radio stuff. I'm talking about stuff that I had never heard before, and it was mind blowing. The soundtrack consisted of like Driven Like the Snow by Sisters of Mercy, Pimp by Depeche Mode, Boys by Bauhaus, Rigor Mortis by a Split Second, stuff like that. And I was 15. I had never heard of any of this stuff before. I'm actually getting goosebumps telling this story because it brings back memories. But I was mind blown. It was an incredible experience for me because I'd never heard anything like it. Up until that point, I had heard mostly just, the stuff I was telling you about, like stuff I heard on the radio. I had never heard anything that you would have to go to a nightclub to hear or whatever. And so I went and found the owner or the manager, and I was like, what is this? I immediately knew I was drawn to this stuff. Like I was like, I have to find out what this is. And he's like, honestly, we don't know. Like, you don't know the names of any of these songs. And so
it was just some like horror movie soundtrack we just put on.
What it was he said, the guy who put this together for us was a DJ at a club called The Church in Dallas.
Oh shit! There we go.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm 15. I can't drive to Dallas to go to a nightclub. I don't have my learner's permit yet, and even if I had a license, my parents would never let me drive from Fort Worth to Dallas to go to a nightclub. I wouldn't be able to get in anyway. So that ended right there. Like I didn't know who these bands were or anything like that. Fast forward 2 years later, I'm in Austin, and I'm in high school, or my last year of high school, and I meet my buddy Jason Treader, and we become friends through music and role-playing games and stuff like that. And he brings me to a nightclub here in Austin, knowing the music that I like, but I don't know any of the bands. I know some of the bands that I like Nine Inch Nails and Typo Negative and bands like that at the time, Ministry even. But I don't know any of the other ones. And Jason's like, dude, if this is your style, you got to go to this place called Atomic Cafe with me. And I'm like, what is that? Some restaurant? He's like, no, it's a nightclub. It's downtown. I'm like, okay, well, let's go check it out. We go on like a Friday or Saturday night. Big X's on our hands, right? Because we are underage. And as soon as we walk through the door, there's a DJ playing. His name's DJ Nile. Thad. He's playing Rigor Mortis by a Split Second. And I'm like, what? I lose my mind, and I go up to the DJ booth right then and there, and I'm like, I asked the guy. He kind of freaks me out at first because I've never seen anybody dress. Well, I didn't see anybody dressed like this in my life. But he's wearing like a skirt and a corset, with like a spiked collar or something like that around his neck and stuff like that. And he's DJing, and I'm just like, I want to talk to him. I want to ask him what this song is, but I'm a little bit intimidated. But I get over my fear, and I end up asking him, and he was super nice, and I spent the rest of the night pretty much up there writing down all of these songs that he's playing. And then I continue to go back to the club over and over and over again over the next year, and eventually start piecing together this soundtrack that I found, or that I heard at the Haunted House up in Fort Worth. And I'm figuring out all these bands like Depeche Mode and Bauhaus and all these bands that I heard on that soundtrack. And I'm literally spending all of my money that I'm making at my part-time computer job at the record store buying all these albums. So that's pretty much how I got into my love of music.
That's so funny. Like your story and my story is so similar, but for me, it was The Church. Did you ever figure out who the DJ was? It Carl Fault, or do you remember who the DJ at the church?
I don't remember. He didn't say. He just said it was a DJ at the club and at the Lizard Lounge.
That'd be really interesting if we could ever figure out who that was.
It'd be really interesting if it was a virus or somebody like that.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking, I don't think it could have been virus. That might have been a little bit too early.
Yeah.
Um, but it's kind of funny. Like we could have almost run into each other. I went back to Dallas when I was like 19. We're around the same age, so you must have come down to Austin like a couple of years before I got to Dallas. But
Yeah.
your story and my story was going to the church and doing the same thing. I had known. I got introduced to Frontline, and I think I probably told you the story before. I got introduced to Frontline Assembly and Hansel and Gretel of all people of all
Oh,
groups,
wow. Okay.
and like years before when I was living in New Jersey, but I was listening to a lot of different music. So even though I liked it, I liked a lot of things. So I didn't really dive much further into it. Um, and then I kind of I went to a store and I did get a D Warzaw and a Sister Machine Gun tape. But again, it was just like music that I liked amongst a lot of different music that I liked. And then when I went to Dallas, this was when I ran into Taya. We worked together at Earthlink. She ends up taking me to the church and with other friends of ours, and I'm just like, this is like peak church, right? So it's the same thing. I go in, I'm seeing people whipping each other in the hallway, people like dressed in mesh shirts and like all this stuff, and I'm just there just like normal. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know if I went in there with jeans or what, but I just, I was just like, what in the fuck is this? And and yeah, and I'm the same way. Like I'm probably bugging the hell out of Joe and Angry John and all the other other DJs that would come in from time to time, just writing down names of songs. I mean, this is the first time I hear Gary Newman, first time I hear Peter Murphy, first time I hear Skinny Puppy. All this kind of stuff. So,
That's where your love for Skinny Puppy started.
yeah. And I mean, it starts out, Joe used to play Warlock. He'd play Assimilate Everyone. He just kind of play like
Right.
kind of like the hits. But I hear this stuff and I'm just like, okay. And I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm writing them all down, and then I'm going home and I'm figuring out, how do I get more? How do I get more?
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So when did uh, so you're going to Atomic Cafe? That's kind of funny because we've talked about this over the years. I have my own Atomic Cafe story. Uh, that was a great place, and it's of course now for those watching, it's kind of turned into Elysium. It's still around. So, so you kind of meet that, and you're learning about all this music. How did this lead to you wanting to DJ?
I mean, I knew pretty much right away that I wanted to do that. Like I like I saw Thad behind the booth, and I saw people like Pablo and Sean Tillman and people like that were up there DJing, and I was like, God, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I don't even know this music yet, but I want to do that. And I was one night I was hanging out outside of the front door, before. So Atomic didn't have that patio out there, right? They just had, and the entrance was on the other side. So the entrance was where the patio entrance is now
Yeah,
for Elysium. Um, so I was sitting out there. They had these giant 50-gallon barrel drums, or like industrial drums, sitting out there with the Atomic symbol on it. And I was sitting out there on one of those drums, and those barrels, and Randall walks out. Randall was the owner of Atomic, and I get up the courage to talk to him, and I'm like, "Hey, is there any chance you would teach me, like, how to do this and stuff like that?" He's like, we're always looking for new DJs to come in and fill our nights up and stuff like that. So sure. So he invited me down on a Monday or Tuesday, because they were closed. No, there was a Monday, because they were closed to the public, but they would do like staff parties or staff just hangouts or whatever. And he had me come in to the DJ booth and just bring some CDs with me to play on the CDJs there. And he just taught me how to beat match, how to just fade from song to song, how to use the mixer, how to do everything. And then eventually brought me on the Tuesday night, which was their fetish nights, and they were packed back then because I don't know why, but their fetish nights were just so popular. And he just had me come in and play sort of background music while the shows were going on and stuff like that. So, and then eventually let me do more DJing as I got better at it and more confident. Then it gave me my own night. So yeah, that's how everything started.
Did that happen pretty quickly? Like, how long was it between your first time DJing to when you had your own night?
Maybe 6 months.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stories out there of people like toiling away for years trying to do it, and in this scene, it's just like
It's cutthroat.
Sometimes you're like
Yeah.
right time, and you kind of get thrown into it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So did you get to DJ? So did you become friends with Thad right away? Like, did you get to DJ with him, or?
No, we didn't get to know each other pretty well until maybe a few years, like after I started coming there. Like we had talked, we would talk with each other here and there, but I first really got to know him through a party that was thrown here on New Year's Eve every year called Funeral Party. And he would DJ that event, and the entire goth scene from Austin and surrounding towns would just come and pour into this party. And it was an unforgettable event. Very, very fond memories of those parties. But I got to know him through that, and we just became closer and closer over the years because of that, or because of just our love of music and stuff. And then I think around like 2003 or 2004, he and his wife invited me to come live with them. So I ended up renting a room from them at their house for about 2 years.
Was this like the first time you moved out of your parents' house, or what?
No, I moved out of my dad's house when I was, I think it was like 17, 18 years old, something like that. And my roommate, do you know Darren Davila? He goes by Deviant Saint on Facebook. But anyway, I moved in with him and my buddy Jason Treader. We got an apartment together, and that was after that. I lived in a couple of other apartments. Moved a couple times, and then Dad invited me to come rent a room from him. So, and I jumped on that because I was like, well, this is like, Thad's basically my, at that point, for lack of a better term, was my idol, like as far as like music goes and DJing and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to be what he was, I idolized him for a while, and his music collection was insane. I mean, he had thousands of CDs.
Yeah.
And when I moved in, he was just like, just listen to what you want to listen to, just put it back where you found it, and that kind of thing. So my knowledge of music from that point forward, it just exploded, because I listen to music, new records every day, pretty much. He's the one who got me into this band, and yeah, I mean, and these guys ended up becoming my favorite band, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's cool. I actually never knew that Thad DJ'd at Atomic, or at least I didn't remember it. Because we talked about this a little bit. I know he worked at 33 Degrees.
Yep.
And I remember coming down. I'm kind of curious. I want you to tell me a little bit. This is something legit I either don't know or don't remember. Because my first introduction to you, I think, wasn't Atomic Cafe, but was actually a place called Limelight. And I remember it. All I remember about it, and maybe you can help me fill in the blanks, I believe it was on 6th Street, and it was like a multi-level club where some of the levels were like kind of small, like kind of like they had like almost like little go-go
Yep.
poles and stuff like that. Uh, Talk to me a little bit, and then of course I came down for Mr. Fang, um, his what was it called,
Oh,
automatic?
Thomas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he had events, and because remember, like in Dallas, anyway, I want you to tell me about it, but just quick, I want to set a
Yeah.
stage here. We had like a burgeoning scene up in the Dallas area. It initially started out; it was just a church, and there was like some retro nights, some like '80s nights. But then we got our thing going over at the Wall. We had the thing going on over at Sandbar with all of that, and then Red Blood Club, and it was really nice because we had a lot of different styles of music represented, right? We had the goth and industrial, we had the synth pop, we also had like the noise, the IDM, like the weird glitchy electronic stuff. We had a little bit of everything, and it was that glitchy stuff that kind of, I think it was Jason Anderson. I don't know if you remember him, DJ MTX.
Oh, dude, yeah. I
I
love
think
that.
I think he
He
introduced
lives in
me
like
to Mr.
Sweden now.
Fang and what? Oh,
I think
sorry, go ahead.
he lives in like Sweden now, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's over in Sweden. Shout
Yeah.
out Jason if you ever see this video. Um, Evidently Blake, I don't know if you know Blake, he actually went over there and he was there for like a show or something, and he went out and met him and saw kind of how he was doing. And he said he was doing really well. I mean, it's crazy. He can speak Swedish now. He's got like a job in a factory out
Crazy.
there. Like he's kind of just integrated himself into local life.
I would have
Um,
hoped so by now because he's been there for like 15 years,
yeah.
longer than that probably.
But somewhere in all that, I got introduced to Mr. Fang and Thomas Fang. He went by Mr. Fang as far as I knew, and he
Yeah.
kind of ran these events down here, almost, if I remember right, almost rave, like almost like a psychedelic trance thing. I don't know. I think it was like a little bit of everything, if I remember right. I have a horrible memory, but that's kind of how I remember it. But maybe you can talk to me a little bit about what Austin was like back in the day, besides just Atomic Cafe.
Sure. So there was okay, so like what era are you talking about? Like are you talking about
Like the
like
early 2000s.
early 2000s? So yeah, I think so I left or I had a disagreement with the manager at Atomic and I left well mutual parting, right, from Atomic. After this was after Randall passed away. I think it was like 2000 something like that or 99 2000 something like that. I think it was like 2000. Um, about a week later, a promoter by the name of Cassandra like hit me up and asked me if I wanted to come DJ for Limelight. I think it was called Inferno at first, or maybe it was Inferno and then it was Limelight. I can't remember. It changed names at one point. And I said, okay, sure. It was a Sunday night. Um, so that was a little bit rough because getting up on Mondays, but I was 21, 20, not even. So who cares at that age? Um, but it ended up being a good thing because that club was really nice. It was a multi-level nightclub. You had the entrance, like the first floor was the dance floor, and you had a booth. You had the DJ booth, and then on the side there was like this big bar that went along the dance floor, and then you had a second level that looked over the dance floor, and there was a bar up there too. So it was kind of like the church, the main area of the church, but much bigger. Um, so yeah, it was a really really cool spot. And there was a third floor that was not many people knew about, but there was like this little room um, that DJs would play in on occasion, but it smelled of bat shit. And it was a tiny room about the size of my office here, and you just have DJs up there playing like experimental or power noise or whatever.
Oh,
Um,
wow, that's cool.
yeah, so it was a really really cool spot. Um, and at that point, I think maybe 6 months later, um, I had another guy named Sean come up to me and ask me to DJ for his event on Wednesdays. So I was doing 2 nights at 2 different clubs around that time. It was a place called Spiro's on Red River, where is now is Barbarella is
Okay.
now.
Where
Uh,
where is Limelight now? Like, what is the spot that's Limelight now?
I don't know what it is now. It turned into like shortly after that, it turned into the Hard Rock Cafe, and that lasted for about 3 or 4 years, and then that shut down, and it became something else. And I have no idea what it turned into after that. So
But I mean, you don't know what's in there now, whatever this, because I can't even picture where. I want to say it was like down further.
I think it was on like
Like,
San Antonio Street or something like that.
okay,
Sixth in San Antonio, or Sixth in San Jacinto. I don't remember,
okay,
but it was like the same block that the Ritz was on,
okay.
the Alamo Ritz, or the not Alamo Ritz, the Ritz. Yeah, it turned into Alamo Ritz, I think, and then now it's like,
The
uh,
comedy club.
yeah, it's like
Okay,
what's it? Joe Rogan's comedy place now.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was on that same block.
Okay. So you kind of had several clubs going on at the same time, and then
Yeah.
okay. So the whole time you've been DJing, have you been mainly playing the goth and industrial?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I had a stint for about a year, um, where I would do gigs at kind of like this techno club called Karma Lounge, and I was playing like psytrance and stuff like that. But it was just sort of like a side adventure type thing. Um, but yeah, for the most part, it was all like goth industrial type stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And yeah, for Mark, yeah, we're talking about 6th Street. I was trying to place where Limelight was because I couldn't remember. Because I think that I went there on the same weekend that I was down here for Mr. Feng's thing. And Mr. Feng's thing, I remember it being in like in a 1-story like big warehouse almost kind of thing. But it's hard for me to, all that time is like a blur in my mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's like anything on Google about it.
My one experience going to Atomic that I remember about, and I've talked about this a few times, but maybe this will jog any memories for you, is when Bry, 7X, and Sliver, who went by Sliver Cyber Slut at the time, was DJing, and it was like they were playing freestyle, like yeah, that style of music from the 80s, freestyle. And I remember having a good time.
It was on 222 East 6th Street. I found an Austin Chronicle webpage about it. That's where it was. So, but anyway, you were saying Thomas Fang.
Yeah, I came down here for Thomas Fang's thing, and then I remember going to Atomic Cafe and seeing Brian and Sliver. And
Yeah,
then,
Brian. Yeah, you mentioned Brian. Yeah.
And then I went and saw you at Limelight, and it had to have been on the same trip because I don't think I made many trips down here to Austin. I went to San Antonio more than Austin for whatever reason. Because San Antonio had Sin 13 and all that kind of stuff.
That's fun.
And
Sin 13, I guess, DJ'd there a couple times for Veronica and Kelly.
Yeah. Just to kind of illustrate how bad my memory is, I don't know if you've heard Jesse tell this story, but Jesse says that he booked me to DJ at the club, at some club in San Antonio. And I should feel bad. I don't remember the name of the club, and I have no recollection of this happening. Me being there.
You actually, you actually did it, but you don't remember.
Okay. I have no recollection. But he claims that we talked and everything, and there was a lot of stuff that happened back then that I just don't. And I didn't even drink. I mean, I did drink a little bit, but like it's not. It wasn't like an alcohol thing. It's just generally my memory thing. It's all just a blur. That's why I'm trying to like piece
We're
it
old,
together.
man. Like I don't remember. There's a lot of details I don't remember from those days. And you mentioned the whole Thomas Fangs event thing. The only event I remember him doing, I think on a regular basis, was the Omoda events, the Austin Museum of Digital Art events that he would do.
Yeah, I don't even think this may not even have been a regular event. It could have been just been a one-off. And for whatever reason, I'm thinking it was Psytrance, but I think they probably had different styles. But
Yeah.
real quickly, so you mentioned Limelight and Cassandra. That's not the same Cassandra that we know now, is it?
Well, there are two Cassandras. There's Cassandra.
This isn't
It's like uh,
this isn't Secret October Cassandra.
no. This is
Okay.
she goes by DJ Spider Goddess now because she started DJing recently. But she used to promote events back in the day and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really nice, really cool person. Yeah,
Right on. Did you ever go up to Dallas to DJ?
a couple of times. I don't know if you remember that first B&B Nation show in like 2001 or whatever when they were there touring for Praise. Not wasn't Praise the Fallen. It was the album after that.
Empires.
Empires.
Was it at the church?
Yeah. So I spun that show along with like 15 other DJs that they had booked. And then
Like anything to get people here. Let's just throw a bunch of DJs on the flag.
yeah, so there had to have been at least 10. I might be exaggerating, but it was at least 10 DJs that they had spinning that night because there was 2 rooms.
Yeah.
But I spun, yeah, I spun a couple times up there, so I did more than a couple.
Okay.
I enjoyed going up to Dallas. I really liked that crowd, and I had good friends up there. I thought I met you up there at the Sandbar once.
You might have.
I did. Yeah,
I have a bad memory.
I spun Sandbar once. I spun Division 1 once,
Oh
which was
yeah.
Arlington.
Yeah.
I did the church multiple times. Yeah.
I wasn't very much like I am today. I was not very good at the politics back then. I
Right.
never got to DJ at the church. I don't think Joe really liked me. Probably just because I was like this annoying gnat that was bothering about what songs he was playing back in the day.
Right.
Um,
Turn my camera off and back on. Maybe that'll help.
yeah, your thing can't come out of focus. What kind of camera is it? Sometimes if it's like they have,
Like
oh, there we go.
Logitech like webcam. I wasn't sitting close enough apparently. So
Yeah, so I wasn't that good about the politics. So like Joe didn't like me or whatever, and there was like I feel like there was some early something. Just like now, I couldn't have cared less about the politics, but I think there was some feelings about the fact that there were other because initially it was just the church, and I think when other events started popping up, I think that Joe didn't appreciate the fact that we were potentially taking people away from the church. That's not the way I ever felt about it. I thought like because we had things going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So, like there was a big enough scene to support it. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like in Austin where our scene is like not even a third of the size, not even close to a third of the size of the scene in Dallas.
But even like in its heyday, it wasn't.
I mean, maybe in the late 90s and early 2000s, we had like up until maybe about 2005, we had a decent scene, but it wasn't close to Dallas. Like it may have been like half the size of Dallas, the scene up there, the scene down here. Yeah.
That's weird.
Because we had a much smaller club, and then in our events, we only had like one event a week, so everybody would come out
Yeah.
um, at that point. So it definitely felt bigger, but it was also a lot tighter,
Yeah.
as everybody knew each other and everybody was friends with everybody. And then we would, we would go to the nightclub, and then we'd go to Atomic, or we'd go to a, whatever event, and then we would go on the weekend to some house party and have a blast, and that type of thing. So it may not have been as big as Dallas, but it had a lot of heart, and there was a lot of people that, I mean, it was basically one big family. So yeah. And
Yeah.
the
I mean,
politics, you mentioned the politics. I remember the politics in Dallas being pretty crazy as far as like DJ politics go and promoter politics. That didn't happen down here because there wasn't any other event going on. So yeah.
yeah. And like I said, I didn't really get involved in it. I didn't even really want to hear about it. I was just like, can we just listen to music? Like, can we? Because we had these places we had a place called Crave. They had some good house DJs there. We had Mink. We had good drum and bass DJs. Like back then, like I tell people, those are the good old days because like every night of the week there was like a cool place you could go and listen to great music from great DJs. And I felt like just Texas in general was really great because Austin was really great, San Antonio was really great. I didn't really spend a lot of time in Houston, but yeah, Division One was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would go to Division One. I actually got to see Faith Assembly, which is a synth pop band, like a new romantic style synth pop band that I was a huge fan of. I'm not sure if everyone else was, but I used to play them when I DJ'd, and they came and played Division One, and that was a blast for me, at least, to be able to see them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so Mark, just so you know, I'm going to address chat here real quick. Um, Jason was asking who you were before we started the stream, and I have to feel like we must have run across each other at some point, just being in Texas and being in the same places. But I didn't know specifically. So, because Mark's here saying that he knows a lot of these people and places, but we're like part of different scenes.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the name Chain Drive. I remember that place, but I never went there. They were. I think they were hosting. Sometimes they would host like industrial events and stuff like that, but I never went. Um, Blue Flamingo. I don't remember that place. Uh, yeah, yeah, there were other spots for sure. But Chain
Yeah,
Drive didn't come in until much later, like probably 2013, 14, maybe 15. I can't remember. Um,
very cool. Okay, so you're heavy into the Austin scene, DJing from time to time, DJing shows around
not as much
time.
as I do anymore, or not as much as I used to, but yeah,
Wait, say that again?
not as much as I used to. But
No, I was kind of recapping like what was
oh,
happening
yeah,
back in the 90s.
yeah.
Um, was that so? Was that still? Were you still mainly focused, like in your personal life outside of the club? Were you still mainly listening to Goth Industrial, or were you?
That's all I listened to at that point. I remember driving a friend of mine to run an errand at one point, and I think I had Project Pitchfork or Ministry or something playing in my truck. And she was like, "Do you listen to any other music?" And I'll always remember her asking me that. This had to have been like 2005, something like that. And I was like, man, not not really, not really. Other than like experimental music, like Legendary Pink Dots or you know, uh, apocalyptic folk type stuff.
Right
But
on.
yeah.
Um, so just kind of a general music question: is there any artist that you've ever heard that you initially didn't like, and then later on you kind of grew to like them?
Oh man, that's a great question. Um, y- uh, you're going to probably end the stream when I tell you this, but initially, I really didn't like Skinny Puppy. Like they were way too harsh for me whenever I first heard them.
Okay.
And to be fair, my friend Joey, um, he tried pretty hard to get me into them, and he made me listen to Two Dark Park like all the way through from start to finish. And I was like, man, this is so harsh.
I know that's like their harshest.
I just can't get into it. And over time, they just became one of my favorite bands. But it was much later. It was much later. I think I think the song that really clicked for me was Love.
Okay.
Um, and that song was just mind-blowingly good because I was into the experimental stuff, and that song was very experimental, very I was like, how the heck are they making this noise? How did they come up with this?
Yeah,
It's incredible.
I remember you telling me that was your favorite Skinny Puppy song.
Yeah, still is. Yep. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, for me, I mean, I obviously like listening to Skinny Puppy in the club, with like the hits, right? But it was for me seeing them live. Like I saw them live, and I was like, whoa, like because I see a lot of punk shows, a lot of like just general indie rock shows, and it's always just like people standing up on the stage holding their instrument doing whatever. I didn't really ever see anything theatrical, and even to this day, like Skinny, can't think of a single band ever or group or whatever that's ever put as much effort. Well, maybe Guar, like Guar put some effort into it.
On their stage show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Flaming Lips kind of put some
Yeah.
effort into it. But like Skinny Puppy, like it was always an event of seeing like what are they going to do this time? Um that's why it was so eye-opening during. Did you see I don't know if it was the last tour or the one before where they did the VIP thing where uh they would come out on the stage and Ogre would kind of talk. Were you
I
able
didn't
to?
buy the VIP pass for that, but I did go to that. I went to the first show of that tour. You were there
Yeah,
in San
yeah.
Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember Thad was there. So I went to the VIP thing at that show, and Ogre comes out and he starts talking about how, like, he said it was the first time he had addressed it, and I certainly had never heard him address it, but he kind of talked about how, how unnerving it is for fans to come up to him and ask him why he doesn't do all the blood and gore and all the stuff that he used to do and like cut himself. And he was like, I know you guys think it's a show and you guys are like, think it's just entertainment, but I was really in a self-destructive place. That was real stuff I was doing, right? Like that wasn't just some theatrical thing. And so like to do that is a very like I can't do that anymore, because I'm not in that place.
Right.
And that's kind of when he switched to being more, he's still theatrical, but now it's in a cinematic way instead of a like how batshit, like what's the craziest thing I can do up on stage to just kind of
Well,
destroy.
he's also old now, right? Like he's like in his 60s.
Yeah.
And I think
But
he's
I
like,
still think he got help. He got some healing,
yeah,
you know what I mean? He just felt
yeah,
like he was in a healthier place.
yeah.
It's just kind of too bad, Joey, actually, our mutual friend Joey, kind of told me some, some kind of behind the scenes stories about Kevin
Yeah.
and an Ogre not getting along, and that's
I mean, you could
a
see it on
shame.
stage. Like on that during that show, you saw it on stage. Like they were they weren't fighting with each other, but they didn't talk to each other. They
Yeah.
didn't communicate. It was very apparent that they wanted nothing to do with each other. That whole show. Yeah.
I hope that because I hope they find some healing, and because now, I mean, it's really unfortunate what happened to that band. I mean, to be like one of the best bands that's ever existed, and for Dwayne to pass and all of that, all the stuff they had to go through. Like now should be like their heyday, like not their heyday musically, maybe, but like now's when they should be getting their flowers, like touring a lot and kind of like enjoying what they're doing, and it's kind of unfortunate that I'm sure they're enjoying what they're doing. They're just doing other things.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Bogart's got his solo project. Kevin's got all of his, every single one of his 15 projects that he works on, including the
yeah,
new Tear Garden that just came out. So,
yeah.
yeah,
I really hope that that they tour Tear Garden, because I've never seen them play those songs live.
I would love
Like
that.
being able to see Frontline and see them play the Cyberactive song, it was like I want to hear those songs. Like I want to hear some of the songs that you don't really hear a lot.
Yeah.
Hear them play them live. It's kind of interesting. Sorry, I just got a little emotional. Like it's so weird. Like I don't know if you're like that, but like the older I get, the more emotional I get, and sometimes I think about these things that just like gets me torn up a little bit. And I got to get my shit together. You know what I mean?
You got to stop telling me that and tell you
Yeah.
take your own medicine.
Yeah, for those in the chat, it's kind of like an ongoing thing between Jason and I, like talking about getting our shit together. So did you think? Oh, Skinny Puppy. Skinny Puppy was the artist you didn't initially. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, Skinny Puppy's an acquired taste. Like Skinny Puppy is one of those bands. People ask me who my favorite band is, and I'll tell them Skinny Puppy, but I can't and they're like, "What would you recommend?" And I'm like, "I can't do that. Like, you have to discover it. Like, what am I going to tell you?
I mean,
I can't tell you anything."
I would do the same thing that Joey did to me and ask them to listen to Too Dark Park, because that's actually my favorite album now. Like,
but then that's like their harshest.
I'm putting somebody on the same path I was. So,
yeah. To me, I would tell people. To me, I think now that Skinny Puppy is done and they're not playing live anymore, because that's what I would tell people. I'd be like, if you want to know Skinny Puppy, go see them live, see if it's for you, and then go find the albums. That's what I would tell
Manipulate.
people. Huh?
Flintstone Manipulate.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite album.
Yeah,
that's the one that I would tell. I would tell them to start at the beginning. Go with Bites and Remission, then go to Cleanse, and just see if it's for you. I wouldn't say Too Dark Park. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's not the one I would start with. I mean, it's a great fucking album, but that's way too...
I don't know what Joey was thinking. I know what Joey was thinking. He was like, stop listening to this goth bullshit and listen to some proper industrial music. Yeah. That's what he was doing. Yeah. So he was trying to, and at that point, Skinny Puppy was his favorite band outside of Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, Nine Inch Nails tickets go on sale for the Austin show. I am going to have to spring for that. I want to see him again. And
they're going to be very, very, very expensive tickets.
Yeah. Well, I say I'm going to buy them if it is absurd. I may wait, because you can sometimes find them on the secondary market, maybe for less. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Angela's going to go to that show. I'm going to have to stay home because it's a Sunday night. So one of us has to stay home with the kiddo.
Oh, I got. Is she going? Does she already have plans of who she's going with?
I think she's going with Brad.
With who?
Brad Rosenthal.
Okay, right on. Okay, so let's. Sorry, we got a little derailed here. Let me think for a second how I want to get. There's something I want to get you to talk about. I'm trying to figure out. Let me figure out later on how I want to get you to talk about it. So let's talk about making music. Have you ever had any experience making any music?
I've dabbled, but I've never done anything. Like I've never created any songs or anything like that. I've just kind of messed around with making noise and stuff like that. I'm teaching, see that guitar back there? I'm teaching myself guitar right now. And I've got a little MIDI controller that I'm messing around with and hopefully going to put something together in the next 20 years. So, yeah, I've got some friends that have invited me to do some guitar work for them and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to put something together for them and work with them on that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you probably told me about that. You're going to find this very hilarious. But the one time I dabbled in making music was when I got to know Andrew Sega a little bit, and he showed me his way of making music. This was before Iris. he showed me his I wish I knew I could remember the name of the software he used. Did he ever show you that weird software he used where you kind of draw like it was like had a visual element to it? It was
No.
like a tracker, yeah, like back when he was doing the track. Anyway, he showed me that, and I thought to and of course he's so good at it that I was like, oh, maybe I can do that. You know what I mean? I quickly realized, fuck no, I can't do that. But I did play around with what was that software? Shit, I can't remember now. I should have thought about it. I can't remember. There was an easier software. Oh, Brad also showed me. He used a thing called Reaper, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tried to use that, and I was like, no, Brad's just too he's better than me. And then I had Reagan try to teach me. He had a keyboard with the like the sequencer built in.
Mhm.
And he tried to teach me how to use it. And of course, all these guys, they're just too good. They make it look easy. And you think like, oh, I'll just buy one of these and I'll just bang out some too. Oh, there you go. Buzz Tracker. Oh, look at that. Brad's in the chat. Yeah. So he showed me Buzz Tracker and I thought like, oh, I could do it.
Hi, Brad.
And that's when I realized like I definitely could not do it. I couldn't even do what Reagan was doing on his synth that he had with the built-in thing. And I just realized like making music is just not I don't have the right temperament or patience for it.
I think if I did ever do anything, it would be something ambient, like experimental ambient stuff.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of ambient music, and I have ideas as far as what I would want to do. But yeah,
It's a lot easier to make that music. I almost made a joke the other day. Someone was talking about some artist like Steve Reich or something, and I was like, they got so many albums, and it's like it's easy to knock out a bunch of albums when you're just making quote experimental music and no one knows, you can't really judge it, right? It's just like, oh yeah, I just made a bunch of sounds, and it's a song. There you go. Let's put it out. I did actually make some songs, and I put them out on whatever website you could put songs on before, but they were god awful. Yeah, they were not good. Well, cool. So, yeah.
Do you remember Accept Europa?
Hell yeah, dude. We booked them. We only booked two groups at the Wall back in the day. We booked Daniel Meyer to DJ, and we booked Accept Europa to play, and they played upstairs. Like you remember, there was like there was like a little kind of wraparound thing up at the upstairs at Wall where you could like kind of overlook the dance floor. And Tony said, hey, like why don't we set up, because initially I was going to have because Wall didn't really have a stage. So I was like, what if you just set up on the dance floor? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. Why don't we set up there? So they played up in the rafters, basically, overlooking everything. And I saw him at the Frontline show in Dallas.
I saw them. Do you remember the art gallery?
Hell yeah, dude.
Or Artland.
Flux.
It was the Artland. I loved that whole concept. It was so cool. So I saw them there with there was some other band. I can't remember who it was. The Accept Europa blew me away. Like they were really good.
Yeah, we had such a good local scene in Dallas, even outside of like the goth industrial. There was a lot of good local bands back in the day. I was going out to local shows all the time, but yeah, Accept Europa was always a party. Everyone came out and saw them.
Yeah,
I got to DJ at Art Landing one time. Sabrina asked me to go out there. The only thing I remember was, we're there to play, whatever, synth pop or goth industrial or whatever. And there was a ton of people there, but everyone was like kind of walking around looking at stuff. They weren't really dancing. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to play. I like the movie PCU, right? Where at the end, George Clinton plays Erotic City. And I had the 7-inch for Erotic City at home. And I had downloaded it off of like SoulSeek or something. And I had it on a CD, and I was like, I'm going to play this Prince song. and I did. And then Mark and some other, I don't know if you remember Mark Berry, but Mark Berry starts dancing crazy on the dance floor to me playing Prince, and it got everyone dancing, and it
That's
kind
all.
of got the party started a little bit.
You mentioned Soul Seek. Somebody's going to bust through your door and arrest you in a second.
I know, I know. Well, I mean, this is one of the questions I always ask in these interviews is because all the people of our age, we went through everything of like, the record stores, the prices going up, and then uh, why am I drawing a blank on the fucking name? Not Soulseek, but the
LimeWire.
no, what was the first one?
Oh, it was Napster.
Yeah, Napster. So, what was your experience with all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I grabbed a lot of music from that. Yeah, specifically stuff that I was like I couldn't find or anything like that. Like I would grab that, or if I'm completely honest, I'd grab like leaks, from albums that hadn't come out yet, and I was doing stuff like that. But I only did that a couple of times. But yeah, it was. I mean, I created a lot of cool compilation CDs from doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
You,
a lot of those were terrible too because the bit rate was so bad.
yeah.
You heard all the digital noise and stuff like that through it because the compression was so awful. Um,
Yeah, and it was always hit or miss. I remember one time I got booked to DJ down in San Antonio, and it was like they wanted me to play an 80s night, and I didn't really have any 80s music, so I had to quickly download a bunch of stuff. In hindsight, I never should have agreed to do it. But at the time, I don't know why I did. So I downloaded a bunch of stuff, but you had to be really careful about ever DJing anything you downloaded off of those services because you never knew what the quality was going to be like. You never
oh
knew
yeah,
you never knew if there was going to be a cut off like halfway through. So the
well, yeah.
whole
Well,
drive
you have to
down.
listen to it first. You can't just
Well, you can imagine I'm downloading, like 20 songs or whatever to DJ with. And so when I'm driving down to San Antonio, I'm sitting there listening to the Burn CD just to see if it has, if everything's going to be okay. That was not one of my shiny moments. But this is actually something I do want to talk to you about. So you also have been through the entire evolution of DJing, right? I don't know. Did you ever DJ with vinyl?
that's the only medium I never really messed with was vinyl.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
the
you
only medium
started with CDs,
yeah.
and so what was like the first DJ equipment you had of your own? Did you ever have
I
any?
had a Newmark mixer and like in rack CDJs.
Okay, so it was a separate the mixer and the CD player were different, but they were rack mounted.
Yeah.
Okay, you
So
remember that all in one? It was like a big box CD
yes.
players down at the bottom, and that's the first one I had.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
technically, the first one I had was just trying to DJ with some Discmen. That was a disaster.
And I
Cool.
went out
So
from that and I bought after that I bought I put on my big boy pants and bought a pair of Pioneer CDJ 9000s or whatever, or 900s, whatever they were. But they were also rack mounted like the in rack uh, players, but they were incredible. They were really, really good. I still swear by those CD players. They were really good CD players for what they were.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So when did you start to transition over into not to something that wasn't CDs?
So it was, man, had to have been it had to have been like post 2010, I'm guessing, like after 2010, like I started
Like
migrating.
was it right to um, kind of what you're using today with the thumb drives and all that, or was there
No,
a
I was
middle
using
part
I used Tractor with like a um
like files on your hard drive?
yeah, but I used a mixer with it, like a MIDI controller, um, back then. But I hated it because it was so. Uh, First of all, I made the mistake of using Windows with it, and I should never have done that. I should have bought a MacBook and put it on Mac for stability. Secondly, just lugging all that stuff around, not like lugging CDs around was any easier, but at least it was stable. Like the only thing you have to worry about with CDs is skipping.
Yeah.
But the things you have to worry about with a laptop is it crashing in the middle of your set, and that happened to me a couple of times. So um, or I couldn't even get started because something happened with, like, there was a flipping Windows update, or
You're getting ready to drop your first song, and you're like, Windows needs to update. That's funny.
that was rough, and so I got out of that pretty quick. I did that for maybe a year or two, and then I moved to this type of system, like an all-in-one setup that was just so much easier. You just load your stuff on a thumb drive, and you're ready to go. There's no laptop, no nothing, no skipping CDs, just high quality MP3s or FLAC or whatever. So, yeah.
So if you had to choose a preference, what would you have preferred? Like CDs or what you have now?
What I have now, for sure. Yeah.
Just because not have to lug around the CDs.
Yeah, I don't have to lug around the CDs. The quality is, I mean, you don't get better quality than FLAC. I mean, it's CD quality.
How do you go about obtaining all the FLAC? Are you just like ripping your own CDs?
Yeah, I mean, I ripped all my CDs to either 320 kbps or FLAC. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, ripped everything. or I'm pulling nowadays. I don't even buy CDs anymore. I'm either buying vinyl, or I'm if I'm in a pinch, I'm buying the digital album from Bandcamp or something like that, and pulling it that way.
Yeah, I wondered like that may be a good reason to use, because I couldn't really get into digital files, but if I was DJing, that'd be one reason to buy things off of Bandcamp.
Yeah. Especially if I don't want to buy the whole album, I just want to buy like one or two songs. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about vinyl these days is a lot of times when you buy the album, you get the digital version. Like you get a code, and then you can pull that down.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
How often do you do that though? I assume
Every time I buy a record, I'll pull down the digital version via the card they have. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember telling you, like, I was like, what am I going to do with all these? I had a stack about like 6 inches thick of all the download codes, and you're like, I'll take them. But I don't think you realize, like, it wasn't like the kind of music you're DJing with. But I was like, if you really want them, they're in a Ziploc bag somewhere. Hey, what's up, Dom? Dom did a really cool thing. So that's who Seeking a Thread is. He did a show tonight, a house show in his barn. He's going to have to fill us in on how that went later. He had some artists come to his house to play.
Cool. Okay. I want to come out and do that. The opening party for you out there.
Yeah, I think once the weather gets chill a little bit, I'll kind of do a grand opening, and we'll have some people out, and you can come out and DJ and see what's going on.
You get Andrew and Brad, or Andrew and Alex to do Hollowed Hearts show.
Dude, you couldn't even get them to come down here and do a show at a club or a venue, let alone my little place. But that would be cool. I would like to see them again, and maybe we get Brad to open up. You could get Control back together. I'm sure he loves hearing us say stuff like that. So let's. I got some general questions I want to ask. So, has there ever been? And I'm still trying to figure out how to form this question, because what I want to get at is, like, Is there ever been music that you've listened to like to kind of get you through a dark time, something to like kind of like lean on emotionally?
You mean to cheer me up or just kind of, or
It could be
yeah?
that.
I mean, this is gonna sound really cheesy, but I really like Modest Mouse, and the reason I like this band is they are like like the lead singer is such an incredible lyricist, and all of his he's just clever. All of his lyrics are about um, it doesn't matter what's happened, like not all of them, but for the most part, the main theme of the band is and the music is it doesn't matter what happened, just forget it, move forward, that type of thing. So that particularly good news for people who like bad news. That album is incredible for that. For that, I getting you out of that kind of weird, oh everything sucks or my life sucks type of thing. At least it helped me out a lot in some rough spots for sure.
Very
Um,
nice.
yeah, I
Have
love
you
that band.
have you ever been able to see Modest Mouse live?
No, I've always wanted to.
I think they're gonna tour here pretty soon. I thought, could be wrong. Cool. So if you had to think across your entire life, and if your life had a theme, like if someone's going to do a biopic on your life, what would the theme song be?
I don't know how to answer that question. That's I love so much music that I don't even know what I could think of. Um,
You pick a few. Like I don't know. Some people have like a song that kind of like really they really identify with and kind of sums up who they are, but like just something that like it's kind of like this is my song.
hmm.
Not everyone has something like that.
I don't think I do. Yeah, I mean, I have to. I may have to pass on this one.
Okay.
I don't know if I could come up with like I just like. I mean, does it necessarily have to like the lyrically have to like match your life? Is that what you're saying,
No,
or
it can be whatever you want. Just generally, if there was a theme song for your life, what would if you have one? Some people have one, some people don't. It's not a big deal if you don't.
hmm,
You can think about it when you come back to it. So, how about this one? This is another question I like to ask is the desert island question. So,
oh man,
if you're going to be stuck on a desert island and you can only have one album, you didn't always have to listen to it, but you could
this
only listen
question
to
is
it.
bullshit. um, continue.
You don't want to answer this question either. You're
This
like, fuck this
is a
question.
stupid question. I hate it.
It's a stupid question. Okay.
No. If I had one album that the thing is, you get sick of an album over time.
Yeah, you could take a break from it, but you can only have the one.
It would have to probably be. I mean, I'm just gonna put one out there right now. The Sky Moves Sideways by Porcupine Tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're like almost an hour and a half into this talking about music, and this is the first time Steven Wilson comes up.
And I haven't even mentioned Opeth yet.
Yeah, we haven't got into it. I was going to tell you just quickly while we're talking about Porcupine Tree. I bought the so Deep Purple Made in Japan. Definitely my favorite live album. One of my favorite albums. Period. They recently they reissued it, and Steven Wilson remixed it. And I haven't listened to it yet. I've listened to the individual. They also released all three of the shows
Mhm.
individually, like not remixed, just the original shows as they were. Um, but I'm waiting for for the right time to listen to the remix. I'm just curious. Like I know you're a big Porcupine Tree fan, but
Mhm.
Steven Wilson has been increasingly tapped to remix and remaster albums. And is there
But
any
he's
album?
really good at it. Like he's
Okay.
amazing.
Well, I was going to ask you. So, is there any non-Porcupine Tree or non-solo album that he's been involved with remixing that you really like?
He did the entire Yes discography, and that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to like because I'll be honest with you, I obviously know some Yes songs,
Mhm.
but I don't think I've ever listened to a Yes album from start to finish. Which one of his one that he remixed would you recommend?
I can't remember the name of the album. It's the one with Roundabout on it.
Roundabout? I can look it
Yeah.
up.
Brad might know.
Uh,
Brad, tell us before Joel does.
is it Yes Songs? Or no, that's like a collection, isn't it? Is it Fragile? Looks like Roundabout's the first song on Fragile, but I never know if they're if
Yeah,
that's
that's
a collection.
Yeah.
Okay. So Yes, Fragile, the Steven Wilson remix. I'll check that out. Because because you know a lot about Steven Wilson. You definitely know more than I do. Why do you suppose he keeps getting tapped to do all these remixes?
I mean, Porcupine Tree is like they're huge in prog. I mean, they're one of the biggest prog bands out there, and Steven Wilson is he's a genius when it comes to mastering, like recording. I mean, he produced the Opeth's best album ever, Blackwater Park, and Damnation and Deliverance. I mean, and those are masterpieces. So I think that's part of that's the big thing is like he's known for his production uh, abilities.
Right on. So Mark's in here mentioning Ecstasy. Looks like Steven Wilson did some remix of.
I guess we'll have to listen to those. I'm not a big fan of Ecstasy, but I'll listen to him just because he touched it. They have a couple songs that I think are okay.
So how were you first introduced to Steven Wilson?
Through Thad, pretty much. Whenever I moved in with him, I was interested in Porcupine Tree because he had he had them playing one day, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds really cool." And I don't remember what it was, but he's like, "Okay, listen to this album," and it was "The Sky Moves Sideways," and that became pretty much my favorite album by them. But then he also introduced me to his solo stuff, and Opeth eventually. But I know Opeth; he wasn't in Opeth, but he produced, like I said, their most iconic albums.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got introduced, was through Thad.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what? So one last general question. Let's see if you hate it or not. If you could have dinner with any musician, living or dead, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
God, that's a real tough question. I don't know if I'm really bad about talking to artists or and even like I couldn't come up with these questions that you're asking me, you know? Like Okay, yeah. I mean, I would ask the same question I ask everybody, and I've asked you this question and everybody else. Like, what's your favorite band and what's your favorite album by that band or
Yeah,
whatever?
but who would you ask? Who's the
I
musician?
mean, it would be a coin toss between, well, it wouldn't be a coin toss. It would have to be either Steven Wilson, Michael Eichenfeld, or um, um, freaking um, Dave Gilmore. Like,
Okay,
I don't, I, but if I had to pick one, it would it would probably be Steve Wilson. Yeah,
okay. But you'd be probably too nervous to actually talk to him.
I mean, yeah. I Here's the thing. I can talk to anybody, and that's one thing that annoys my wife is like she's like, just be cool, like, don't go approach this person or don't go talk to them or whatever. But I don't care usually. I can go talk to anybody. It's just I sometimes, if I'm trying to think of something to ask somebody who I put on a pedestal, for instance, I'll lock up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I hung out with Beborn Benton for a few days, and I was trying to get up the like nerve to to ask them frank questions, and I just couldn't. I just tried to like be cool and just talk to them like human beings, which is how you should be. But secretly, I was just like, I want to ask you guys a bunch of questions about things that happened back in the day, and then but you're just like, you're too busy trying to be cool.
Yeah, and I'm so afraid of word vomit that I'll lock up or whatever. That happened with me in Project Pitchfork. Like they were playing Elysium. I think it was like the first or second time they played Elysium, and I went outside to. I saw Peter Spillis sitting out there. I was like, I'm gonna go talk to him. Blah 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 blah. And I
Yeah,
sat there next to him, and I said, "How's the tour going?" And then nothing. Like the rest of the time, it was the most awkward, like frustrating thing that I
yeah,
think had ever done to ever happened to me for a when interacting with a musician or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah. Right on, man.
especially one that I really liked because I was in Project Pitchfork really big back then.
Yeah. You'll have to remind me to tell you something off. Well, no, I'll tell you on stream. So I talked. There's this guy that's kind of in this community on YouTube that we're in. His name is Stunty, and some people in the chat know him. We were talking one time off stream, and I mentioned Project Pitchfork, and you should have seen what he said. I'm not going to be able to quote what he said because I don't remember exact what word for word, but he was kind of telling me how, or at least the way he framed it was how the European scene kind of sees Project Pitchfork, and it wasn't in a good light.
Oh
But
wow.
I think part of it was kind of maybe how he sees them,
Hmm.
um, and it wasn't good because I was telling him like here like I was telling him about just my experience with Project Pitchfork and how much I enjoyed them. Um, so it's just kind of interesting like hearing how other people may see some of these bands. But anyway, we don't need to
They
get
have
on.
different experiences.
Yeah.
So
So in general, what role does music play in your life today?
um, it's it's a part of my life. I can't imagine not having music in my life. So for it to play a role in my life, I mean, it's like saying, what role does your arm play to you, like in your life? Like it's a part of me. So um, probably um, it just keeps me it just keeps me going. Like I don't it's a type of sustenance for me.
That is
So
that is very well put.
yeah.
Very well put. Um, so the next question is, I want to ask for music recommendations, and you can kind of decide what inspires you. When I ask this question, is like, what songs or artists or albums would you recommend people to listen to now? And if you'd like, You can just answer that question straight up any way you want, or you can kind of break it up into something recent and something more classic.
I'm going to start by saying something that isn't necessarily a artist specific, but if I could make a recommendation to people, and I was guilty of this for a long time, because I mentioned this earlier when I was giving my friend a ride, and they were like, "Is this all you listen to?" I would say don't just listen to one type of music. Like, listen to anything that is outside of your knowledge, of your area of knowledge. Like, keep just looking for something new to listen to, and outside of your comfort zone. I like to do that a lot, and it's helped me out a lot. Not just listening to goth industrial for 20 years, even though I've listened to a lot of it, but I've expanded my taste quite a bit. Are you saying that? Are you suggesting, like, okay, well, what am I listening to right now that I would recommend people listen to, or?
Sure. Or you can answer it however you're inspired to answer it. Just like if you had to recommend I mean, that was good recommendation you had in general. I like that.
Yeah.
But is there any specific music you want to recommend? I mean, you could look down and look at your shirt. I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean, these guys are coming here Thursday. They are incredible. They just put out their first. They just put out a new album called. Shoot, I can't remember the name of it now. Yeah, it's their best album in like 15 years. Incredible album. And I've been listening to it on repeat for weeks now. So I highly recommend that new album. Let me look. Oh, Legendary Pink Dots. So Lonely in Heaven is the name of the album. Very incredible.
It's got a cool cover too.
Yeah. So for people who might not know who this band is, they're a band that's been around since 1980 or 79, something like that. Their first live show was opening for Skinny Puppy, actually. But they are they're a lot of people put them in like this genre called apocalyptic folk. I just think they're kind of like experimental, ethereal type of music. It's just, like I said, one of my favorite bands of all time. That new album is incredible. Highly recommend it to anybody who likes experimental music, or just something kind of fun and quirky to listen to.
Is there anything from their back catalog you'd recommend?
Any Day Now is probably my favorite album by them. That's an incredible album. Nemesis Online is another one. That's just really good. And a Perfect Mystery. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but those are three really good ones.
Okay. Yeah, Any Day Now came out in '87. Played Against Sam.
So I had this weird thing where most of the time, the album that I get introduced to, or I listen to originally by a band, will usually end up becoming my favorite album by them. And that's what happened. Like, Thad told me to listen to that album first. And I bought that album and I listened to it, and it became my favorite Pink Dots album. And then I think about a week or two later, we went to see them live at Stubbs Indoors in 2001 or 2000. And I think it was 2001. And then they became my favorite band, like right then and there, after seeing them live.
Was this Stubbs in the?
It was a spiritual experience for me. Like, incredible show. Like, I wept. I think I remember crying that night. because they were so incredibly good.
Wow.
And I'm not a religious person. I'm quite the opposite. So for me to say that that was a spiritual experience for me, it was incredible show.
And was this Stubbs at their current location?
Yeah,
So they were on the indoor
they
stage,
were
which was pretty
indoor.
small.
Yeah, which is why I'm happy they're playing this 13th floor venue, because it's so appropriate for them. Like it's got this psychedelic theme, and it's a really intimate venue, so just perfect for that band.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything recent? Like, what's the last new release that you heard that you really liked? Oh, besides the Pink Dots.
Besides the Pink Dots, that Tiergarten album is really good. That new Tiergarten song, which is Pink Dots adjacent. I'll have to mull on that for a minute.
Right on. You don't have to try too hard. Don't hurt yourself.
The new Paradise Lost was really good. I enjoyed that one.
It's not that's a metal band, right?
Yeah, they're a metal band. Forgot the name of it, but
Looks like the new Paradise Lost.
Yeah, came out in September. Really great album
called Doom Metal. It makes me. I don't know if you were there. I think you were. I was. Where I usually run into you out in town. You were sitting in the table at Valhalla, and Alex was there. You were probably there, and there was Alex, some guy that you guys also knew, was there, and they were sitting around talking about metal, because I think it must have been South by, and he was like, their friend was there to see some metal bands, but you guys were just chilling out before going over to Elysium, and that guy was like, he started talking to me about metal, and he's like, "Oh, what kind of metal you like?" And he started rattling off like all the different metal subgenres, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about, man."
Was this South by like 4 years ago when?
No, this was this year.
Oh, okay.
This year.
I didn't go to South. Did I go to South by this year? I don't remember.
It may have just been Alex. I think. Oh yeah, in fact, it was. I think Alex was there with one of his close buddies, and then there was another guy that was there. And Alex, we were waiting because we were going to go see something at Elysium, and they were just chilling there. And there was some guy there. He was like a young kid, like a younger guy, and he just kind of rattled off. I just meant the point was not about the guy. Like, it was a point just that, like, I know you're into these specific metal bands, but metal is a genre. Generally. I didn't really.
I'm not a metal fan specifically. I have specific metal bands that I really like.
Yeah.
And Opeth is probably the big one for me, because they're in my top 5, top 3 bands of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, is there any question? This is what we'll end it on, unless you just want to shoot the shit. Is there any question that you wish I would have asked that I didn't?
No, this was great. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully, one of the things that I kind of talked to you about why I do these videos. The other reason why is, like, this is something like all the women, our wives say to me. Any female friend I've ever had was that, like, guys will hang out for years. Like, I've known you for like over 20 years, and like, we don't really talk about personal. There's all kinds of things we don't know about one another, because guys don't have any problem just hanging out without like getting up into people's shit and like trying to understand everything. So I managed to learn some things about you today that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that, once upon a time, country music. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, when you're a kid, you're listening to what your parents are listening to. but that's cool. So I learned some things, and you helped fill some gaps in and what was going on in Austin back in the day. Um, well, actually, I'll ask. Okay, this will be the final question, and we'll cut it off because Stevie asked it in the chat. What is your most memorable South by Southwest experience?
Man, so many good ones. Probably seeing the. Oh man, so many good ones. The most memorable show was probably the church in like 2003 at Elysium. That show was incredible. Like, I'll never forget it. That was unforgettable night. Yeah.
Cool. Any others you want to mention that were?
I mean, yeah, there was. This is a fun story. So like, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I can't remember. Gary Newman was touring, and he came here for a showcase during South by, but he played multiple shows around town. I think he played like 5 times that weekend at different showcases and stuff like that. I went to like 3 or 4 of those, but there was a. I think I was hanging out with Brad and Brad Rosenthal, Angela, and Shervin, and a couple of other people. And I don't know, you may have been there. I don't remember. I don't remember who all was there.
The one I saw was at the Buffalo Billiards or whatever.
No, this was at. I was at that show too, but we went to eat lunch, and then we walked over to Brazos Hall, and that was an incredible show because we walked in not thinking we were going to get in because we just had, I don't even know if we had wristbands. We may have had wristbands.
Well, you know, Brad did.
Because it wasn't just Gary Newman, it was Blondie as well. So it was a 2-show showcase, and then there was like a side project of M83 that was opening for that show. We get there early enough to where there's like nobody there, and it's an open bar, so like free drinks. We saw Blondie like in the middle, like we were like front's not quite at the rail, but we were close, and we saw Gary Newman right after that, and it was just mind-blowing time. Incredible night. Funny story about that is Shervin might not like that I'm going to tell this story, but we're all leaving the venue at Brazos Hall, and this is towards the end of the night, and Angela and I think Brad and maybe one other person, we're all walking out, and Shervin's with us, and he's like, "Oh crap, I forgot my phone," because he had plugged it in like into one of the pillars to charge it. But later in the night, like it was so packed that people were just like stepping all over it and stuff like that. So he went in to grab his phone, and then he runs back out. And well, let me back up a second. Angela gets a text from him saying, "I think I broke my big toe or my big nose," or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he apparently what had happened was he was running out, and there was a glass, like a giant plate glass window that he thought was the door, and he just goes right into it because we were all wasted, but he runs into it and he broke his nose.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was that, and then I think the next night Gary Newman plays a show up the road from Elysium, and then immediately comes over to Elysium afterwards for his showcase at Elysium. And I'm front and center for that show the entire night. Like I even grabbed the set list, and right after that, I will go out back behind Elysium they have this like little like patio thing, and Gary Newman was back there, and I was like, I work here, right? So I'm gonna go out back, and I follow him out there, and him and Jurgen are back there. So I get a photo with them, and I'm actually wearing this shirt. I didn't even think about that, but I'm wearing this shirt that night. And I get a photo with them, and I get Gary Newman to sign the set list. And I still have it somewhere. I haven't framed it yet. I need to do that. But that was a spectacular South by moment.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, that's probably a good place to end it there. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate everyone.
This was a real pleasure. I had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't have a chance to sit down and just like, talk about their experience with music.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. We'll see you on Thursday for the Pink Dot show.
Oh yeah.
And that'll be fun.
I'm excited. That's probably one of the biggest shows for me for the year for sure, because I haven't seen them in a couple of years. So, but I've seen them every time they've come to town since 2001. So a lot. But yeah, I'll see you there.
You're probably not. You might be surprised to hear this. I have not seen Pink Dots before.
Oh man,
I've been in town while they were playing, and for some reason something always came up and I missed it. So while I've seen Skinny Puppy like 15 times or something, I've never seen Pink Dots. So this will be nice.
Yeah, it'll be a great time. Hopefully, I can talk to Edward and ask him about doing a tour with Tiergarten. They've always talked about it, but they're never gonna do it.
Why? I hope they do. I would die. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool. All right, Joel.
Yep. You have a good night. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining. We'll see y'all later.